If you only look at the box score and the team success of Brock Purdy, it is very easy to come to the conclusion that he is an elite NFL quarterback. So why does nobody talk about him in that way? Does the film also show an elite quarterback, or just a product of a great system and the great supporting cast around him? We'll be taking a look at key plays from all 6 of Brock Purdy's 2023 season games and answer that question for ourselves. Let's dive right into it. We'll first take a look at this touchdown throw for Brock Purdy. This is a simple 2-man concept. It's going to be a switch release between Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk at the top here. Essentially, Deebo Samuel is just going to be running a crossing route right across the goal line. Brandon Ayuk is just kind of going to run a little bit of a similar route, break, and then he's just going to be running in behind here as well. So it's a really interesting 2-man concept here. Essentially, Purdy drops back, play action, hits the back of his drop, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders all guarding Deebo Samuel here, while Brandon Ayuk is one-on-one at the top of the screen. And Purdy does a really good job of keeping his eyes on Deebo Samuel to keep this safety occupied, and that really just leaves Brandon Ayuk on a one-on-one matchup here that he absolutely dominates. You just go ahead and take a look here. All he does just kills that corner with threatening the outside, coming back inside. Purdy hits him perfectly in stride for an easy touchdown. This play is just a great example of Brock Purdy's anticipation and just his ability to know when to throw the ball and where to place it. Right here we have the tight end coming across. He's essentially just going to run straight to the flat. You know it's man coverage because he's got his guy following him right here. So it's just a simple slant flat concept here. Brandon Ayuk at the bottom of the screen is going to be that slant. Already Purdy knows in his mind this is man coverage because of that motion, and he knows that because of that, the slant is a great man beating concept. Right here, all he does is he just takes a look. This guy's in the middle of the field. That's all he needs to check, essentially, that he's not coming over to really rob that area of the field. He's not. He's staying put. You've got your deep safety here, but it's man on this bottom side of the screen. Already at that point, Purdy knows I'm just going to throw this with anticipation right into this window on the slants, and that's exactly what he does. A perfect throw, perfect timing. Let's take a look at that one more time. He knows it's man because of the motion, just rips it into a tight window. Easy completion for a first down. This play shows off some of the playmaking out of structure ability that Brock Purdy has really improved on. Right here, the Steelers are going to be in a man-to-man cover one robber concept. Right here, the safety's coming down to kind of rob that middle of the field. They've got the deep safety as well, rotating to be a single high. It's a 2-high look. And then across the board, they've just got man coverage. It's man, and then you've got these guys as well. And Purdy does a really good job kind of recognizing this. Offensively, what the 49ers are running, he's Deebo Samuel at the bottom of the screen is just running a clear out route. Kind of got George Kittle running to the flat, and then you've got a levels concept. Christian McCaffrey running kind of a shallow in, and Brandon Ayuk running a deeper route on the inside as well. So this is a really good job by Purdy. The rush comes. He knows it's man coverage because of the motion here. And once again, he hits the back of his drop. There's some penetration in the backfield, and he is able to sidestep the rush, stand up in the pocket, and then right here, you've got Brandon Ayuk coming open over that deep in on the middle of the field. Such a good job. Let's watch that here. Ayuk comes open, Purdy steps up in the pocket, delivers a great ball. That is the playmaking ability that really makes him special. When he's able to do that, that is huge for this team. This play we looked at kind of showed the good playmaking ability of Brock Purdy, but there are still times that he really needs to be an improved player when, there's pressure in his face, the play breaks down, things like that. Right here, George Kittle, one-on-one man coverage, just running kind of a post route. He's going to be open in the back corner of this end zone, and Purdy just straight up can't hit him. There is pressure. He does a good job of trying to, avoid that pressure. There's a lot of guys coming on this side. The offensive line is not held up well, but right here, Purdy has time. All he's got to do, this is one-on-one coverage with your big tight end to float it up, give him a chance, and he does give his guy a chance, but it's just an inaccurate throw. You've got to be a little bit better than that. Down in the red zone, that's just something that you really want to see him be pinpoint accurate. Even though there is pressure in his face, it is tough, but you've got to be able to hit those throws. The velocity is just not there off the back foot, and that's something that, you really do wish he just did a little bit better in this case. George Kittle is essentially just running an in route here, and then you have Brandon Ayuk in the slot, who we have mentioned so many times. He's been so big for this 49ers offense. He's essentially just going to be running a deeper dig. It's kind of a different version of a levels concept. They're just on different sides of the field, and right here, Purdy has a defender right in his face coming up on the rush. He does a great job. Neither one of these guys are necessarily like open at this moment. You've got this linebacker here, you've got this linebacker here. He's kind of closing in here, but Purdy just throws with great anticipation, and right here just rockets it in. It goes to Ayuk. It's just a great job by Purdy recognizing where the space in this defense is. It's the middle of the field, and he throws it. It maybe doesn't have the best velocity that you're really looking for, and I do think that's a knock on Purdy, just his ability to really rip it into tight windows. This is a big throw. It's a good completion, so you're not going to criticize too much, but a really good read with the anticipation. Would just love to see him rip it a little bit. At this point, it's a cover 2 defense. You've got these two guys running deep shell concepts, and then you've got him underneath. He's kind of got this shallow zone. He's got this shallow zone. So it is really a concept where it's very common to see, but you got to know where to attack it. Right here, you can see TJ Watt's already just burned the right tackle. 29 here is closing in right here, so you've either got to rip this hole shot and just throw it hard on the sideline and hope that this safety doesn't have the range. I don't hate not taking that decision, just because that is a tough play. You really got to rip it into a tight window, and we've talked about Purdy's limitations when it comes to that. You do have Kyle Juszczyk wide open on the check down on the top of the screen here. Now, that is his backside check down, and once again, TJ Watt is just flying off the edge. But what you've got to do is you got to sense the pressure. He fumbles this ball. The Steelers recover. You can't have that. You've got to secure the ball in the pocket. You've either got to rip it, find one of your checkdowns, or at least not fumble. That's one thing that Purdy has had a couple of issues with fumbling. He just needs to clean that up. 3rd and 12, right here, once again, the pressure, kind of bending around the edges. Purdy does a good job stepping up in the pocket. He's looking to see one of these guys downfield. He is going to have Ayuk kind of settle into a lot of open space right here. Deebo Samuel's running across here underneath and drawing this defender. Now, Purdy decides to run. He's not really known for being an elite level athlete by any means, but he absolutely does enough. Picks up the first down on 3rd and long. So that's a huge play for this 49ers team. If he can, continue to improvise and be really effective with using his legs and being able to create out of structure, that is what would make him more than a system quarterback and really make him, potentially an elite level player. To week 2 now at this point, I think this play shows both some of Purdy's biggest strengths as well as his biggest weaknesses. Brandon Ayuk is one-on-one here. He's basically just going to be running a bit of a comeback route, and Purdy throws this with insane anticipation. He does such a good job here. He just takes the drop back, and right here, it's one-on-one coverage. Purdy knows that Ayuk has outside leverage, and he just lets this ball fly. Now, it also doesn't necessarily get there with the best velocity, and I think that continues to potentially be the biggest knock on Brock Purdy as a quarterback, his just ability to just rip the ball into tight windows. It's a great throw with anticipation, and that anticipation can cover up a lot of the concerns when it comes to, some of that real velocity, but it is something where you would just love to see right here, as he's throwing it. It's great timing, but you would just love to see that ball get there a tick faster. That's really just going to be something that when he's really throwing into tight windows, that's very visible to see. This is a very good concept from Kyle Shanahan in this 49ers offense, but it's also very well executed here. Basically just going to be a dagger concept up top. You've got George Kittle running the clear out go route, and then you have Brandon Ayuk running kind of a switch release here into the dagger concept. You also have Christian McCaffrey running kind of a whip route here as well underneath. It's a little bit deeper than that, but this is a way that, you kind of get a levels concept as well as a dagger concept here. You've got Ayuk on the outside. You've got Kittle running this clear out route, and McCaffrey's just kind of going to whip this right across the middle here. Purdy does a great job standing calm in the pocket. He does a really good job. It's a 3-man rush. The rush almost gets to him. Right here, he does even get hit a little bit, but he just has the ultimate trust in Brandon Ayuk. Right here, most quarterbacks would not throw this football because you've got 97 right here dropping into the zone. You've got plastered tight man-to-man coverage here. it is not really an open window to throw the dagger concept right into the middle of the field here, but Purdy puts it on perfectly. It is just a perfect throw, just such ridiculous anticipation and trust in Brandon Ayuk to get open there, and it pays off because it is a elite level throw. For this play, the Rams bring a blitz, and he comes free completely here. He just comes storming off the edge and really unblocked. And this is really a good job by Purdy. He floats to his left, resets his feet. He's not, off balance. He's not necessarily putting himself in a position where he can't throw. And he just has the ultimate trust in Jennings here. This isn't even, one of their elite level receivers. It's not Debo. It's not Ayuk or Kittle or McCaffrey. It's Jennings. And Jennings just runs, kind of that in concept. Once again, Brock Purdy just dominating the middle of the field. It's not the most accurate throw necessarily, but he is throwing off of his back foot, and he gets it right over this defender that's dropping in. That's a tough throw to be able to get it over that defender's head and right into the bucket in the middle of the field here, and Purdy makes it really well off his back foot. Like I said, a little bit behind him, but that's the kind of thing you really want to see. Pressure coming in his face, he's still able to kind of improvise, find his hot read, and get it there quickly. Purdy just can't do what he needs to do on this play. It's Deebo Samuel one-on-one, and it's just man coverage, and he's just going to run a go ball, and he is open here. George Kittle runs a post, and that occupies this single high safety. He runs with Kittle. It's, man coverage here as well, so, that pretty much takes that middle of the field completely out of the play, this safety. And Deebo Samuel, look at this release. Just such a good job with the inside release, and he is wide open. This is wide open in the NFL when it comes to deep passing concepts, and that is just simply a throw that Purdy has to make. He overthrows him by a solid 2 yards at least, and that's just tough because that is a big play that is schemed up so well. You get your guy wide open and just can't hit. I really like from Kyle Shanahan, he's going to basically use motion to get Deebo Samuel on the outside, and then it's going to be essentially a dagger concept, just like we've talked about before, where basically there's a clear out route, and then you've got, an underneath dig right there, and that just opens up the middle of the field so well. But what I really like about this concept, it's ultimately not where the ball goes, but Brandon Ayuk kind of whips this one off into more of a levels concept. It still has the same effect because he's acting as that clear out defender, but he's a little bit more helpful in this case, where he's able to also be somebody over the middle of the field that is open. Purdy does a good job, hits the back of his drop. Now this is a tough throw for Brock Purdy. He's standing on, beyond the right hash of his own 20-yard line, and he's got to rip it into this window here over the middle of the field. Now, he's absolutely wide open. Deebo Samuel coming across. It's just, wide open. But Purdy's got to step into this throw, and I do think that the velocity's not quite where you would want it to be. Deebo has to dive forward to get the ball. It's a really good job anticipating that route and that he is coming open. It's a great timing by Purdy to throw this ball here, and you just wish that it'd be more right on that 45-yard line rather than him having to come all the way back to the ball and really kind of have to adjust to it, dive down and make the play. That just limits the yak that they're able to get. Now moving on to week 3 versus the Giants, they run kind of a zone blitz where Kayvon Thibodeau drops into coverage here, and they bring everybody from this side. And, it is going to give the free rusher for the Giants, coming right up the middle right here. This guy is about to just crush Brock Purdy. And, this is a really good defensive call. It's man, though, all across the board with Thibodeau just kind of dropping into that zone. And I don't hate what Purdy does. He throws, this kind of quick out route to Deebo Samuel. But you have got to miss outside on this if you're going to miss. And Purdy misses inside. It probably should be intercepted. And it's just one of those things where maybe it's a lack of arm strength. He's kind of throwing off his back foot, falling away to his left. Right here, if you just rip this ball to the goal line, pretty much on the pylon, you give yourself a chance. But he floats this as he gets hit, and it really should be intercepted. It's good defense by Deebo Samuel, honestly, but you have to miss this one wide. And he misses it short and way inside, and that just gives this defensive back way too much of a chance on the ball. It's the red zone. It's a zero blitz. It's really not a bad decision by Purdy to throw this ball. That's kind of his quick read, but you absolutely just have to be a little bit more accurate with where you throw this one. it's just, when Purdy is pressured, sometimes he can just force things a bit, and this is a perfect example. Juszczyk is just going to run kind of a short out, and then Kittle is going to run kind of a post. And, basically you're just watching the level of the defender here, seeing which one to throw to. Right here, Purdy takes the snap. 25, Deonte Banks goes with Juszczyk, so that immediately signals to Brock Purdy, you're going to take this corner route. And it's got to be a accurate throw because, as soon as you let this ball go, it's zone coverage. Banks is going to try to drop off. This corner is going to be just ripping to get to that sideline with George Kittle. And, right here, Purdy throwing off his back foot again. There's a lot of space there, but this is not an easy throw. He gets it right over the outstretched arm of Deonte Banks perfectly into the breadbasket for George Kittle. Let's watch this throw. It is an elite level quarterback throw. That is really good placement, and that just shows you that when things work out for Brock Purdy and he is on, he absolutely can put it into a bucket for his wide receivers. What a play. Now, one thing I do love about Brock Purdy is you're usually not going to beat him with the same thing twice. Once again, these Giants defense, they've got all these guys on the line of scrimmage. You've got 6 defenders to 5 offensive linemen. If they all come, Purdy knows he's going to have to get rid of this ball quickly. And on this case, they all do come. Last time they dropped that backside guy, but it's one-on-one man coverage all across the board. And Purdy knows he's got a free rusher. Trent Williams does a good job, taking the most dangerous. But right here, Purdy has another outbreaking route. This is Ronnie Bell, where he throws it outside here. And this time, even though Purdy is off of his back foot, he throws it exactly where he needs to put it. He throws it away from the defender, and he beats him there. That is really, really important to see that kind of growth, even just from a game-to-game or down-to-down basis. Right here, free rusher. He knows he can't miss inside again. It's pretty much the same type of throw, and this time Purdy hits it. That is awesome to see. This is a touchdown. Basically, McCaffrey is just going to run to the flat, and Purdy is able to hit him, but it's just not with enough velocity, in my opinion. There's a lot of yak opportunity. There's a lot of space. With Christian McCaffrey, you get the ball in his hands, and he is dangerous, and, Purdy's just kind of falling away. It's just one of those things where, you just need to stand in the pocket and rip it, and he's just not able to really rip that ball. It is ultimately a first down. It's 3rd and short. That's what matters. It is nitpicky, but it's just one of those things where if you gave your guy just a little bit more juice on that ball, he would maybe be able to turn up field, make a guy miss, and have a big play. It's just those small things that really make the difference between an elite level quarterback and, just a guy that's really good at operating a system. Deebo Samuel kind of runs a sluggo route. It's a slant and go, and he is open here. It's decent coverage, but, right there you see the stutter step, and he gets one-on-one coverage, and Purdy just has the trust in his guy. They bring a lot of pressure here. They've got an 8-man protection, though, so Purdy has enough time, and he just throws a back shoulder ball to Deebo Samuel, and it is perfect. Right there, just great job. Great body control by Deebo, and a great catch, but, give your guy a shot, and that's exactly what Purdy does. It's really good placement and gives his guy a chance for a great touchdown. There's absolutely nobody open. This is actually really good coverage by the Cardinals defense. Purdy just escapes, rolls out of the pocket, throws across his body a little bit to Christian McCaffrey, who's going the other way, and just gets a ton of yak. And that is one thing with McCaffrey and this offense. They are just great yak options, and that makes Purdy's job a lot easier, but he still has to create this play here. Purdy is not looking for his first read. Pretty much McCaffrey's just flaring out. This is definitely meant to be kind of a motion to set something else up in the future. I don't think we've seen that yet, but this motion where he's almost 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and just kind of moseys out to the flat, that's definitely something that's setting something up for the future. But look at McCaffrey just have that recognition to come back across the middle of the field, Purdy's ability to find him, and McCaffrey's vision to create that yak. You've got to give a lot of the weapons credit for all the yak that they create, but Purdy does put them in positions where they're able to get that a lot of the time. Essentially, it is kind of interesting because they're both running to very similar spots, but Deebo Samuel's kind of going to run a post, and Brandon Ayuk's going to run this kind of just out route, this deep out route behind him. And this is just such good execution. It's a really good run fake by Purdy. And just look at this. It's kind of, Brandon Ayuk's threatening up the seam. He's threatening up here. And Deebo Samuel gives a nice bump to this corner, and instead of, Ayuk already going up that seam, he kind of cuts it back inside and runs this almost just out route here. There's just so much space for Purdy to throw into here because of this great just kind of bump from Deebo Samuel and this great route by Brandon Ayuk. It's perfect placement. It's perfect timing. The anticipation by Purdy to throw this ball and the arm talent to get it there. I've been critical of his velocity, but I don't have any concerns about his just general arm strength, his ability to throw it to the opposite side of the field, and he does that so well here. Just really, really good ball, and Ayuk is able to turn upfield and get a couple extra yards as well. This play is a sack and ultimately a -1 for Brock Purdy, but I do think it shows some nice things as well. Essentially, Ayuk is going to be running kind of a corner stop where he threatens to run the corner and then stops in that zone. And Purdy does a good job. That's definitely his first read here. He hits the back of his drop, and he kind of sees that, I don't really think that one's open. And so he moves. It's pretty good coverage all across the board. Yes, he could certainly hit his check down right here. He is open, and ultimately that is what you wish your quarterback would do. Or, fit it into a tight window here with Christian McCaffrey, but the blocking does kind of break down. It is plenty of time for Purdy to get rid of this ball and find something, but I actually really kind of like his decision making on this play, his ability to not throw it, even though Ayuk is such a good receiver for him and you want to trust your guy one-on-one pretty much every time. This guy is floating right into that passing lane. This guy's pretty close still as well, so I think it's a good decision not to throw it. Ultimately, you wish he would hit his check down here, but that's a backside read. That's kind of his fifth read. The offensive line does break down, so it is somewhat on Purdy, but it's also a good decision by him to not throw it, and that can be just as important. Great look for Purdy. He just knows that at this point he's got one-on-one coverage here, and he just trusts his guy to go and make the play, and that's so big. He has just great placement on this backside ball. Brandon Ayuk does a great job getting that outside release, and Purdy just knows there's no safety help over the top. I'm going to trust my guy, and he knows the situations in which he should trust his guy. He just puts it right on the money for that back shoulder throw. Great body control and adjustment by Brandon Ayuk, but it's just that timing, the chemistry, and the understanding of when and where to attack defenses that makes Purdy really, really good, and that is just a great example of it there. George Kittle is going to just essentially be running a post route, and this safety is kind of in a tough position. Right now, Purdy drops back. As soon as he kind of sees that his other guys are pretty plastered, he steps up in the pocket. Great awareness to be able to understand where space is going to be. He's able to kind of drift out here, keep his eyes downfield, and look at George Kittle on that post route coming open. Really, the only guy that's deep is this safety, and Kittle has all of the leverage on that. And Purdy's able to roll out, find his guy, and just a great touchdown throw. The ability to just float into the open space in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and find his guy for the easy touchdown. That's awesome to see. It's the exact same one that the Lions ran that ultimately resulted in a touchdown for Sam Laporta, but basically it's just going to be kind of a flea flicker where George Kittle runs a wheel route and gets into a ton of space. It's just a very good play design, honestly. It's very fun to kind of watch. You hand it off to McCaffrey. You drop it off on a lateral to Deebo, who just drops it off once again to Purdy. And then all you've got here, you've got Ayuk running the clear out, just move everybody to this side of the field, and then got just Kittle running right up on that wheel route. And Purdy just hits him, and it's wide open, but it's a good play, and really, really good concept by Kyle Shanahan. That's where the scheme really comes into play, and just being able to get his guys, George Kittle in this case, his big playmakers, the ball with just great opportunities. This is possibly my favorite throw from Brock Purdy. Just the timing, the anticipation, the placement is just so good to see. It is, once again, just that deep kind of in route by Brandon Ayuk, just a staple of this offense. And just look at Purdy right here. He throws with just such good anticipation. Leighton Vander Esch is kind of occupying that exact zone that you're looking to throw into, and Purdy just trusts his guy so much. And look at this throw right over the outstretched arm of Leighton Vander Esch. He's got Stephon Gilmore trailing Brandon Ayuk, and it is just such a good throw. Hits Ayuk perfectly in stride that he can go and potentially pick up some yak as well. Just such a good throw from Brock Purdy, and just his ability to really understand, anticipate. Right here, the ball's already out. This guy is right in the passing window, but he just throws it with such good touch. He's just able to get it over the outstretched arms of the linebacker. What a play by Brock Purdy. Basically, it's just Kittle that's going to run kind of a little bit. He threatens outside. It's a switch release with this guy here, and then he just kind of runs to the inside. Right here, it's switch, and this guy just kind of opens up and occupies that space. Kittle, it's trail technique right here. Purdy already is resetting his feet, getting ready to throw this ball. And right here, the ball is coming out. Kittle hasn't even really broke out of his route yet. And it's just, it looks so easy, but it's really not that easy. It's just that the timing and anticipation from Brock Purdy is just so special. Look, he's already throwing. He's made up his mind and he's already throwing. And Kittle still hasn't even broke yet. It's just so difficult to beat a quarterback that is throwing with that good of timing and anticipation. That's just such a good play from Brock Purdy. Now taking a look at his first loss of his NFL regular season career against the Cleveland Browns. There are some ups and downs from this game, but this is a really good throw. Brandon Ayuk is essentially just running a streak. He gets kind of caught up a little bit at the top of the route. The Browns have a lot of blitz. And, this is just terrible blocking from this San Francisco offensive line. You've got 2 guys blocking 1 over here. You've got 3 blocking 4 over here. So just miscommunication on the offensive line. But Purdy realizes that, there's going to be a free rush. He's going to get smacked. And he could dump it off to Christian McCaffrey. And that's probably what he should do. But he trusts Ayuk, and he delivers a great ball. He braces for contact, gets absolutely crushed. And Ayuk kind of gets caught up right here at the top of the route. Let's watch that. Right here, gets caught up, stumbles a little bit. But look at this placement. Right here, it hits Ayuk right in the hands. And, even if, it was a tough throw, that is a very catchable ball for Brandon Ayuk. And a really good play by Purdy to give his guy a chance. He puts it where only his guy can get it. And that's a really, really good throw, even if it didn't ultimately work out. Some of the elite scheming by Kyle Shanahan in this offense. And, it's not a very good defensive play by the Browns, but essentially you're just going to have Brandon Ayuk running a crossing route on a really hard play action fake that, pretty much everybody falls for. Kyle Juszczyk does a great job sealing the edge right here. And, my goodness, Brandon Ayuk just comes so open. You've got the threat of George Kittle running up the seam here, which just holds this safety. This guy is occupied right here, and it's just Brandon Ayuk coming wide open into acres of space on this side of the field. And Purdy's got to make a little bit better throw here. It's not a bad throw, but Ayuk has to stop. He has to come to a full stop and, slow down and catch this ball. He has a lot of space. Look at all of this space. If it's a better throw, it's probably a touchdown because, ultimately this corner is able to catch up and Ayuk does a great job to hurdle him. But if Ayuk is hit in stride here, he is a fast dude. He's probably going to take this to the house or at least get a lot more yards. Ultimately, he has to come way back to the ball. Maybe it's, once again, just that velocity, his ability to just rip it, especially when he's on the move and he doesn't have his feet set. That ultimately probably costs the 49ers a lot of yards on this play because he outruns all these guys. All he's got to do is beat Martin Emerson, and I think he would have with a better throw. What's really important on this play is kind of the context of the situation. It's 3rd and long. You're on the brink of long field goal range. You really just want to pick up a couple of yards, get your kicker into good position, and that's likely the goal of this play. It's essentially just going to be a screen, and it's really actually well developed. Look at all of these guys that come out. Basically, number 3 comes to motion. He's coming back to the ball now. You've got 4 guys on 3 blockers. You might actually pick up the first down on this play, but Purdy just loses the ball. And, ultimately a field goal really would have mattered in this game. Purdy just doesn't grip the ball well enough. He fumbles, and he ultimately recovers, but it takes them completely out of field goal range. They have to punt. Let's keep in mind, a field goal would have been a huge, huge difference in this game. It's just some of these plays where, you just can't have that from your elite level quarterback. That did ultimately potentially decide this game. You have a lot of space, a lot of opportunity. It's a really well schemed up play, and Purdy just kind of flubs it up on this one. That's just tough to see. Interception of the year. He's trying to hit Ayuk on this deep dig that we have talked about so many times. Once again, it's kind of that levels concept. And he just throws way behind him. This is just one of those times that anticipation and accuracy just doesn't play out well. And, he may have his arm tipped by Myles Garrett here. That's entirely possible. But, right here, this is not a very open window. And Purdy tries to force it anyway, and he just throws it way behind Ayuk. And, ultimately, this is just a bad play. It's bad placement. It happens. Every quarterback has bad throws and bad placement, but just not one of Purdy's best throws, and it ultimately results in his first interception of the season. And just taking a look here, essentially, they have a motion out to this side. They have a bunch of switches here. Ayuk looks like he's breaking inside and ends up running this corner concept. He had a great ball to George Kittle on this, in a couple of plays earlier that we looked at. Right here, Ayuk gets himself open. There's pressure in his face, and Purdy just misses him. And that's just tough because Ayuk was wide open on this play. It really does seem like when Purdy is pressured, that is kind of when you can force him into a bit more mistakes within the confines of the offense and within the structure of the offense. He's so good. But, when he has to rapidly just kind of make quick decisions when the pressure is on, and he has to, continue to throw off his back foot or may not have all of the mechanics exactly as he wants, you can see him kind of drifting back here. He gets hit, doesn't get all the oomph he does once on the ball, and, it just ultimately misfires. And, that's a tough play for Brock Purdy. So that's going to do it for a Brock Purdy film analysis. What do you think? Is he a product of the great system and play calling around him, or is he actually an elite quarterback as well? I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle. He definitely has some great traits like anticipation, accuracy, timing, all of those things that make him really, really dangerous. But I also think that the supporting cast around him really has allowed him to turn him into the really good player that he is now at this point as well. I think he has some limitations, but what do you think? Let me know down below. If you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, hit the like button as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.